There's one country in Europe that's tax-friendly, and yet you probably never knew it. People talk about countries like Switzerland being great places for foreigners to move and reduce their taxes. But today, I'm going to tell you about a little-known tax haven in the heart of Europe. Poland is the newest country to have what's called a lump sum tax program. And what a lump sum program is where you pay a fixed amount of tax every year. It's valid for a certain number of years, and you have exemptions and exclusions from the normal tax regulations to where you have more flexibility in where your company is based, where you're going to pay them one fixed amount. That's going to let you live in the country. That's going to let you be a tax resident. We're going to come back to all that. And you can make as much money as you want while paying that fixed amount. And so it allows businesses that are growing to scale, and it allows you to contribute an amount of money that is more than the average person in the country is paying as your essentially user fee for being in the country. And so Switzerland was one of the original ones that did this. They have different rules based on every canton. It can get a little bit confusing. Italy and Greece, for example, have joined the fray. They have programs that are cheaper. It's going to cost you about 100,000 euros a year and up for those countries. Poland comes in a little bit more affordably. It's 200,000 Polish zloty is the annual tax contribution. And then each year you need to make a 100,000 zloty investment in promoting growth in the country. That's more of a citizenship by investment type investment where it's essentially a donation. So you're looking at a 300,000 zloty per year cost. The zloty's hovered around 4 to 1 to the dollar. So you're talking about $75,000 or 65 to 70,000 euros that you're going to pay every year. And you can do that for up to 10 years. So Poland's a place where you can go. If you have not lived there before, you can go and take advantage of this new system and pay that flat rate of tax. It's more than you might pay in a tax haven, but quite frankly, what a lot of people don't realize is depending on where your income comes from, if you have dividends, if you have royalties, if you have other types of income that's taxed at the source, having a tax treaty, tax residence in a country like Poland or other European countries might actually be more affordable than living in a tax haven where there's no treaty. And we've seen examples where people move to Dubai and actually increase their taxes in limited circumstances. And that could be they move to Dubai, they move to Malaysia, they move to Panama. Sometimes living in a European country can actually lower your taxes if you're paying this $75,000. The other benefit of having a tax residence in a European country is that you might have access to certain kinds of bank accounts that they only work with European residents. So there's certain Swiss banks, for example, that are going to be either more likely to work with you or they're going to have lower minimum deposits. And so those are some of the benefits of having European tax residence. Sometimes, for some people, paying $75,000 a year actually works out better than paying nothing somewhere else because you have access to more services. And the question is Poland a country that you want to live in? And that's on top of, this gives you a new country that you might want to live in. A lot of people who want to move overseas, they think, hey, I have to move to Dubai or to Monaco, or okay, I've heard Nomad Capitalist talk about Malaysia and Panama and Uruguay being tax friendly. And some people don't like those options as much, or some people just go with kind of the known option more. You have a number of options within Europe, with Poland being one of the newer ones. And I think that there are some people who might like the idea. And so Poland has taken a bit more of a turn to the center recently, but Poland is one of the more conservative countries in Europe. I think it's more culturally conservative. It's a bit more religious than other countries. They're not as much into immigration. So if that's what you're looking for, then this is a country that offers that. And what's interesting about Poland is that salaries there are very, very quickly catching up to the UK. I think that by the end of the decade, it's expected that they're going to be on par with the UK, partially because the UK star is falling. Poland's star has been rising. People are making more money. I mean, ever since I first went to Poland 10 or 11 years ago, places like Wrocław in the south, they were distribution hubs for Amazon. It was a more affordable place with a little bit easier to do business, to sell stuff and ship stuff into places like Germany. So you have that proximity in Central Europe that is valuable for the country. They have other tax incentives for small businesses. It's a place that is more slowly than somewhere in Asia, for example, but it's trending upwards in terms of how much money people have. And so if you want to live in a place that is conservative and you want to take advantage of a lower tax rate, and you want the flexibility of being able to travel around Europe, then this is yet another option that you have. So you'll need to figure out how you're going to move to Poland first. If you have an EU member state passport, you just go. If you don't, you either decide, am I going to acquire an EU member state passport, either through citizenship by descent, can I become Irish, Lithuanian, Slovak, whatever, through my ancestry, or are you going to go to Malta and pay them about $1 million and get an EU member state passport by investment in about 15 to 18 months? Those are ways that you could be able to get into Europe, or you could go to Poland and you could start some kind of business that gets you a residence permit. Now, if you're not European and you're not prepared to become European, there's going to be some, tax cost in Poland for setting up some kind of local operation, generally speaking. I'm not giving you tax advice. And so there is a bit more tax planning when you move to a European country, even with a lump sum system. And so if you need to get a residence permit by opening a business, there's some tax planning there of how do I open the business? The local Polish business does have some corporate tax exposure. How do I move money into that business from my foreign corporation? So those are all things that you want to consider. But the bottom line is about $75,000 a year, you can live in Poland. And once you're there, you can make as much money as you want. You can run your businesses around the world. Of course, Poland's part of the Schengen area. So if you want to go to Germany, if you want to go to Spain, if you want to go somewhere in the region, you can do that. If you want to become a citizen, you'll need to actually learn how to speak Polish. They are particular about that. But this is an option for someone who wants a more conservative place within Europe to go, someone who wants to be in a country where they have pushed back against some of the European Union stuff. They do not use the euro in Poland. They have not gone along with some of the EU policies in Poland. You can think that's a good thing or a bad thing. But for someone who is in line with that kind of thinking, you're going to need to speak Polish, I would say, to truly integrate into society and certainly to get citizenship. But it's an option. So we now have yet another lump sum country in Europe. That means you've got, even after the demise of the UK's non-dom program, about 8 different tax-friendly programs in Europe in countries that have, on paper, very high taxes, but you can dramatically reduce your taxes. So what we help our clients do is make sense of these programs. I'm not saying Poland's your best option, or Italy, or Greece. There's many tax-friendly countries in Europe and elsewhere. We've helped our clients move to a couple dozen of them. If you go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, you can learn how we help people do that. You can apply to work with us. We can guide you through the process of asking you all the right questions, understanding your situation more intimately than I think any other company does, and make some very high-level recommendations on how do you leave your country's tax system, how do you go to Poland's or whatever other country works best for you's tax system, how important is citizenship? Are we getting second citizenship by naturalization, by living somewhere? Are we getting second citizenship through some other method? Are we not in need of a second citizenship? I mean, there's so many questions that come into play when you want to move overseas and lower your taxes, and I would argue you should get a second citizenship at least. That's what we help our clients figure out. So go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. This is yet another option that we can offer you, but really it's up to you. Where do you want to live? This will work for some people, but not for all. But whenever you say, oh, there's nowhere else to go, realize there are an increasing number of options available.